vigilance, the action or state of keeping careful watch, standing guard, defending the bulwark between the righteous and the godless. Hey everyone, Lance Earl here. It has been a crazy week. It was just 1 week ago today that I released the story of the despicable Senator Jim Guthrie and despicable Representative Christy Perry. I told the story of their years-long affair and the damages that it has caused. Now, since that time, Representative Christy Perry has released an official statement, and it is disgusting, it is insulting, and it needs to be addressed. You see, Perry said that she was in a crisis and that as a result of that crisis, she turned to a fellow legislator and made a terrible mistake 2 years ago. 2 years ago, she made a terrible mistake. A mistake is something that happens on impulse. It's something that we don't plan. It's something that, oops. But no, this was a 3-year affair. This was a love affair. No, not love. This was a despicable and immoral affair. And it wasn't a mistake. When it goes on for 3 years, it is not a mistake. It is a choice. This is what Christy Perry chose for herself. Now, I would ask you, have you ever experienced a crisis in your life? Have you ever had this terrible thing that you had to deal with that was so hard, so devastating? And when that occurred, did you use that crisis as an excuse to flop into bed, violating the trust of your spouse, your children, your friends? Or did you choose a higher road? You see, Christy's excuse is no excuse. It is really a condemnation of her character. She went on and she said that my column was disgustingly brutal. Yes, there is a lot that's disgusting and a lot that is brutal. But it wasn't found in my column. You see, it was disgustingly brutal to Matt Perry, Christy's husband. It was disgustingly brutal to her children, to her family, to her friends. It was disgustingly brutal to her constituents and to the people of Idaho and to the reputation of the Idaho Legislature. Yes, there was much that was disgustingly brutal, but revealing this story was essential. She went on and she said that my story was not accurate. Well, right now, right here, I am demanding that she make a list of every inaccuracy. And I demand, or no, I request that the people of her district make the same demand. We want to know everything in that column which was not true. Because you see, she can't provide that. The column was completely and totally supported. The facts are the facts. We know what they are. She knows what they are. And she will not go to the facts because it will destroy her credibility. Checkmate. The coward, Guthrie, has gone into hiding. Now, in his divorce proceedings, he admitted that he had this long-term affair. And he said that his affair had no negative effect on the marriage. Does anyone believe that? Does anyone believe that? How can you have an ongoing affair that requires that you lie and cheat and betray and sneak and hide and cover up all of your activities from the spouse who you pledged to love and care for and be faithful to? There's no way that his actions didn't play a large part in the failure of his marriage. Guthrie is a pig. Now, I first learned of the Guthrie affair in January of 2016, and that's when I began sniffing around. Now, here's the thing I would like you to consider. If I, who am a person not very close to Guthrie, if I, a person that he doesn't confide in, if I, a person that he doesn't hang out with, knew about his affair, who else knew? I would submit to you that there are those in the Bannock County GOP that knew, in the state GOP that knew, in the legislature that knew. And there are many, many, I would think, that have special agendas that also knew. How could they not know? If I knew, so did others. But they said nothing. They kept Guthrie's nasty little secret. Why would they do that? Why would they do that? Consider this. What if, instead of shining light on the affair, what if I had instead scheduled meetings separately, one with Guthrie, one with Perry? And what if during those meetings I shared enough of the dirt that they would know with absolute certainty that I knew? Then in the weeks and months and years to come, I could call them and I could say, hey, I want you to vote this way. I want you to take this action or have, maybe no action at all on this issue or that issue. If I had done that, would my voice have more influence into their actions than yours? Would I have more power to direct and control them than you do? And if I have this extra power, this extra influence, this extra force over someone who is supposed to represent us all equally, is that right? You see, others knew. And so I would ask the question, have the actions of Guthrie and Perry been influenced, manipulated, controlled by their covert handlers? In my mind, there is no question. The responses from the people to my allegations have been pretty positive and pretty encouraging. I am glad to know that the people are still, by and large, committed to integrity and morality, and people who represent us by choosing to do the right thing. But the newspapers have been so incredibly, unbelievably disappointing. You see, most simply said that there was this allegation from some unnamed blogger. Some said there was an allegation from the blogger Lance Earl. Only two that I could identify said that, or shared my name, but also, and more importantly, shared my website address. You see, there is much to this story that the newspapers never covered, but the people have a right to know. The people have a right to know every detail of this disgusting and immoral and destructive affair. The people have a right to know. And so I am going to ask you to go to www.lanceearl.com. That's lanceearl.com. And you will find that story there. And I hope that you will read it and understand the absolute untrustworthiness, the absolute selfishness, the absolute drive to fulfill your self-gratification while stepping on everyone else, because you have a right to know. Now, the question is, what do we do about this? And the standard answers just aren't going to work. Call your legislator? Oh, good. Let's call Guthrie. Let's call Perry, if you can even get them to answer the phone, which you can't. But the thing is, that would be a wasted effort. Envision, if you will, purple ribbon everywhere. Purple ribbon on every tree, on every fence post, on every power pole, on every light pole, on every street sign, on every fire hydrant. Purple ribbon hanging from every doorknob in Perry's district and in Guthrie's district. Now, why purple? For those of you that don't know, there was a purple vibrator that played a big part in the affair of Jim Guthrie and Christy Perry. A nasty old purple vibrator. So that's the importance of purple. And if you want to know more, again, go to lanceearl.com and read the initial allegations. Now, what will this accomplish? Well, number one, there are people that haven't yet heard this story, and they need to know. They have a right to know. And if they see purple everywhere, they will start asking, what's with all the purple? And we'll have an answer for them, won't we? Secondly, it needs to remind people. It needs to remind people of who and what and the destructiveness that Guthrie and Perry are to everything that we hold of value, to everything that we hold of value. And finally, it will be a strong and important message to Guthrie and Perry. Every time they see purple, let them know that we demand that they step down, that we demand their resignation, that we want them gone, and we want them gone now. I'm Lance Earl. I'll see you soon.